Welcome back to Studio 5. Children these days are faced with more choices and, because of technology, an acceleration of abundance. Because of that, my next guest says parents have one very important job, that is helping your kids to find their voice. Studio 5 relationship coach Dr. Matt Townsend says that one discovery will help them tenfold.
Yeah, let's see, think about it. Who are you? In this big realm of life, and all of these people and all of these things and all of these sports and tools and things you can do, who are you? And where does your voice fit in to like the cluster of all these other voices?
You know what jumped out to me reading over your notes is that meekness is the enemy here. We teach our kids to be polite and to be, and a lot of kids are naturally a little more quiet.
Shy, reserved.
In that big group, they've got to be able to speak up.
That's right. And then a lot of times the loud people become the voice. And you see this in the news all the time. Sometimes the loudest groups are not necessarily representative of the rest of the culture or the rest of the country. So we have to help them find their voice. And then what I want them to do is learn to have a voice, find out what theirs is, and then help others find their voice. In fact, Stephen Covey called this the 8th habit. The 8th habit was being able to find your voice and then help others to find theirs.
I didn't know that.
So it's a powerful kind of leadership tool. And we've just got a bunch of little skills that we can use to help our kids find their voice, their communication abilities.
And it's not just the long-term payoff. Like you think, okay, when they're adults or when they're parents, that voice will be important. It's important right now. And you say doing so will help you be a better parent to them.
That's exactly right. Because all of a sudden, they have to still say no to their friends. They have to still say, heck no.
Yeah.
And they need to be able to say that without being, you know, coerced or forced to do other things. So if you'll do it as a parent, it'll also help you sort out where you fit communicationally and what is your voice. It's a powerful thing.
The first step you say to helping kids find their voice is to talk about your talk. What does that
we
mean?
never talk about our talk until we're fighting. Then we're like, we always fight, and then we fight about our fight. But to talk about our talk means let's start figuring out what's hard to say for us, what's easy to say, what is not so easy to say. Like, for example, my kids would come up and say, will you go help me get a waffle? We were at a party yesterday. Will you go help me get a waffle? And I'm like, dude, you're 14. Get your own waffle. Well, I don't know where the whipped cream is. Well, did you ask? So I'm noticing that they don't know to ask, or they don't dare to ask.
Right.
So just talking about, tell me why you don't dare to ask. Is it that you're afraid to ask? What is it? And start helping to identify what is it you're afraid to say, or what is it that you shouldn't have said in a certain party. Like, I say stuff all the time. You won't believe this. No, but I do. And I regret it later. And
some of those comments actually are beamed out over TV.
I know, isn't that the weighest thing? And then who knew this was even on? But what's funny about it is if I go back and watch, I can start to learn what I should say, what I shouldn't say, how I don't step on your toes, and stuff like that. We need to just start questioning what we're saying and how we're saying stuff.
So to that point, how do you know how far to push a kid who's a little more introvert, a little more shy, like asking for the whipped cream at a waffle bar? That leaves them shaking in their boots.
One of the great ways to do it, I think, is just simply notice he's struggling, notice what he's struggling with, and then at first go partner with him, go show him how to do it, and then come back to the table after we did it, and then talk about it. Did you see that all I did was I said, oh, is there any more whipped cream? I just asked a simple question, and see how easy that was, and nobody cared. So I might be there with him, understand the problem, go with him, then do it for him, and then come back and talk about what we did. And then next time, or quickly, create an opportunity where he can go do the same thing.
Understand the power of bids and turns is next on your list.
This is one of my favorite things, because the easiest way to get somebody else in a communication setting is to just create a bid. A bid is just a soft, gentle way for me to show you and validate you, tell you that you're great, invite you into the conversation. A bid is like me bidding you in. Like just a simple thing like, how are you doing, Brooke? That's a simple bid in. And then the turn is when we turn to people that bid to us and we actually connect and have a relationship or a conversation. Life is full of bids and turns. And there, a lot of times that is the beginning of a great segue, a great opportunity, a great connection. But a lot of us are not paying attention to bids, and a lot of us don't know how to bid. So I teach my kids a simple bid would be a simple question. Ask somebody about themselves. Ask them about them, and they will go off for hours. And that simple bid, if the person turns to it, will now give you a chance to listen and to create a great opportunity.
I didn't know it was a bid, but my mom growing up, the bid she taught was a compliment, to offer someone a simple compliment.
Or just something like an invitation, or I know you did this, tell me about this, can you explain this to me? Let somebody teach you is another great bid. So if you start teaching your children that communication is really a lot easier than talking and just listening, it could be just simply asking one question that gets somebody to turn. My wife had a simple bid which was like, we've got so many things to do by the end of this month. Now that was a bid. And I noticed that I didn't turn. And I was just watching TV. And she like said it again, another bid. And that's where a lot of marriages go wrong, because people are bidding constantly
and no one's turning.
And nobody is turning. So maybe if we pay more attention too to not having to bid, but turning.
How do you teach kids to turn?
Pay attention. So when mom says something, literally, I want you to move your body and turn. And then all of a sudden because that communicates something that we're paying attention, we're giving some important attention. One of the great experts in the field of family relations is John Gottman, and he talks a lot about bids and turns, and how it really is it's the key to a healthy, effective relationship. If one spouse is bidding, then the other better be noticing the bid and turning towards each other.
Good stuff.
And the more we turn, the better off we are.
This next point, I think, is where the power is held with this topic. Use your voice to encourage other voices. How do we teach children that power?
Encouragement, remember, is trying to get to the heart. We want to get to the heart of other people. And if you could use your voice to encourage others to share. For example, we went to this party yesterday, and we were just sitting there in the living room talking, and somebody came up and told my son what a great piano player he is. And I said, oh yeah, I was talking to the person and he was kind of overhearing.
Right.
I go, I know, he's fantastic. By the way, and then I said, bid, Tan, come here. And then I brought Tanner back into the conversation, and we turned back. Did you hear what she was just saying about you? And he's like, no. And I said, she was just talking about what an awesome piano player and singer you are. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then it forced him, quite literally, into a moment where he had to deal with the compliment, not me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I encouraged the voice that I'm hearing, I encouraged him to hear. And then she said, I would love it if you would play. Would you ever go play right now? And he looks at me like, nah.
I'm gonna kill you.
and then he did it. But so all of a sudden, when I'm encouraging, I use my voice to encourage others to share their voice, or to use their talents, or I ask their opinion. One time I was sitting in a meeting and Stephen Covey saw that I wasn't liking what was being said in the meeting. And he invited me to share what I was thinking.
Oh boy.
And it scared me to death, and it did. But he had to encourage me to get my voice in the conversation. And a lot of times you'll sit in a room having a conversation and you'll hear that someone's voice isn't in there. So encourage that quiet voice to come in.
Draw it out.
Even if it's the younger child or the older person.
I love it. You want us to also recognize the difference between goals and methods. Explain the difference.
A lot of times we get frustrated with our kids because they're whining.
What? Kids whine?
I've heard. Mine don't. Mine just ignore me. But whining is simply the idea, it's just a method. There are a million methods for a kid to get what they want. They could whine, they could throw stuff, they could beat their brother up, they could just go grab it, they could steal it, they could poke each other's eyes out. There's a million ways to get it. Those are what we call methods. And goals are just that he wants whatever. He wants a chocolate milk drink, right?
Yes.
The goal is different than the method. So if you want to kind of help a child cut through some of the garbage of their life and you're sick of them whining, then just say, you know what, your goal of wanting some chocolate milk is a really great idea. How you're going about it with the whining isn't working. It's starting to make me frustrated. So can you think of another way that you could just ask mom for chocolate milk?
Oh, what
that
patience it
so
takes in the moment to talk them through that, but the payoff is big.
And then talk about it later too, that there's a difference between how we do stuff and what we want. And all of our goals can be noble, but if we do it in ineffective ways, you're going to tick people off, you're going to frustrate them. So then just always go back. I appreciate that you really want to, spend more time with mom. Is there a better way to do that than stealing her purse? What's another way we could do that? And then give them another way to communicate other than that.
Love it. Finally, how can we build our kids a stage?
This is huge for me because I think kids need to know where they're strong, right? And that could be activities, that could be, in fact, the Girl Scouts have found by the age of 5th grade, by 5th grade, they have stopped kind of risking their voice. So they're very risky and willing to do stuff up to about 5th grade. Then kind of the social network kicks in and they start holding back. So we need to get those leadership skills young. Find the activities they're good at, find the opportunities where they shine, and then use that stage as a way to create their voice.
And the message, do it early.
Do it young, do it early, because whatever it is, they've got to do it young, they've got to do it early, and they've got to find the voice. But it's better to find it where you're strong than necessarily try to go find it where you're weak. So go wherever they are. If they're already an athlete and they love sports, then just have them use their voice more. Cheer people up, encourage, do more bids while they're on the team. Talk to your own coach. Don't make me talk to them for you, and kind of push them on their own where they already have the stage.
Awesome. Such great parenting goals,
Yes.
Matt. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brooklyn.
Hey, great gift idea, too,
Yes.
in your pocket. Gifting your adult kids tickets to your Valentine's date
This
night.
Valentine's date night is our biggest date night ever. We'll laugh, we'll cry, but you're going to get a ton of skills, and obviously you don't need them, but your spouse does, and so do your kids. So at Christmas, it's the perfect time to give the gift. If you go to datenightswithmatt.com, we have discounts. Bring your whole family. It's on Valentine's night, so then nobody needs to worry about a big present.
Right.
Because we'll bring the joy, we'll bring the present, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a kiss.
At the end of the night.
I can't
Not
guarantee it,
for
but
Matt.
Yeah, maybe. Not
All
for
right,
me.
really fast. Earlier in the show, we were
Yeah.
just having some fun with this elf name generator.
Yes.
These are floating around
Okay,
online. Tell
okay.
us your elf name, Mr. Townsend.
My elf name?
Yeah, so you take the first letter of your name,
My elf name is Happy.
birth month.
Birth month, Happy Peppermint Buns. Holy cow, totally. Happy Peppermint
This show
Buns.
just took a turn. Matt, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Mr.
Brooklyn.
Peppermint Buns. I shouldn't have even gone there. All right, switching topics right